Hey guys, and welcome to a new video on the J&M Football channel. My name is Josh. I want to make a video on my ACL journey because it was the 1 year anniversary of my ACL operation yesterday. And I just want to tell you guys how I've been getting on, how the year went, how the rehab went, how the operation went, and if I'm back playing football now and how's it going. So basically, first I just want to tell you shortly how it happened. Basically, it was in a match. I took the ball off the attacker and I tried to turn away from him, so I spin my hips and my body, and as I span away he basically stood on my left foot, so my foot was planted into the ground and my knee just twisted. I heard a pop. The physio said straight away that it's a high chance of my ACL. I got taken to the hospital, and then at the hospital for some reason they did an x-ray, not an MRI scan. And of course on the x-ray nothing came up, so they thought I was okay, fine. So the doctor said that I'll be fine in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks had passed, my knee was still in pain, it really hurt. So I booked in for an MRI scan, but I had to wait a long time to get my MRI scan. And then also I went to the scan, found that it was a very bad tear on my ACL, and that I had to get an operation. But I didn't get my operation until 5 months after I originally got injured. So I got injured 31st of March 2019, but I didn't get the operation until September 18, 2019. So there's a long period in between getting injured and actually getting the operation, which is actually a good thing, people say, because you can straighten up your leg for the operation. Yeah, I went in on the September 18th, my operation. Operation went fine. I slept the night there. Next day went home and it was all good. And then I started my rehab I think 3-4 days after. The important thing that started is icing it, resting it, trying to bend it as much as you can, even though it's a bit painful. And yeah, then I think 3-4 days after my operation, I went for my first session with my physio. We started doing really basic bends and walking and stuff like that. And I was walking without crutches a week after the operation, I think, so it wasn't too bad. And then yeah, the swelling, I had to ice it 3-4 times during the day. And then basically every week physio was getting more and more harder. It was getting more and more exciting, because at the start it's really boring exercises, just try and bend it as much as you can. The main part of this video, I just wanted to learn about the things that I learned during my ACL injury, and the things I learned throughout the whole year basically of my ACL rehab, and getting back into football. The number one thing I learned is that everything happens for a reason, even if it's a bad thing, a good thing. Because of my ACL injury now, I fully believe that everything happens for a reason. Obviously, again, ACL injury is a bad thing, because one of the worst sport injuries you can get. But if I didn't injure my ACL, I wouldn't be here where I am now. I wouldn't be living in Serbia training every day. We wouldn't have started J&M Football. So yeah, I fully believe everything happens for a reason. Even if it's a bad thing, good thing, there's a reason behind it happening. The second thing I learned is that you can't control everything that happens. So even though a lot of things are in your control, for example, as an athlete, you have things that are in your control: what you eat, how you train, how you sleep. Do you go out partying, drinking, do you not? But there's a lot of things that are not in your control. You can't control the referee, the pitch, the weather, the coach's choice if you're going to play, if you're not, because obviously people can say you can train better, but at the end of the day it's the coach's decision if you're going to play or not. So there's a lot of things that you can't control, and you just have to accept that, and you have to focus on the things you can control. So obviously if you're fighting to get into a starting 11, what you can control is how you train during the week, giving 110% all the time for your team, and just working hard. The third thing I learned is that the small things are very important. So during my ACL rehab, especially at the start, the physio is really boring, and all really small exercise, doing half squats, and it's not hard, it's not difficult on your legs, but you have to do it. And yeah, before my injury, I didn't really train my smaller leg muscles, my glutes and things like that, for example. So yeah, just general life, all these small things you do matter, and this one's attached to the smaller things matter, but the fourth thing is that you always have to look at the bigger picture. So for example, during my ACL rehab, I was for example, I remember the first 2 weeks I was doing these half squats, and obviously it's boring, it's not hard because it's just a half squat, you go down a tiny bit, you go back up, but I have to do a half squat today, so next week I can do a proper squat. So you have to keep that in mind. at the start I was doing these tiny step-ups, and like I have to do these tiny step-ups, so in 2 weeks I can do even higher step-ups. And like when I started doing jumping and running, today I could run 100 meters, so then in 2 days I can run 150, and then in 5 days I can run 200 meters. So you always have to keep your mind focused on the bigger picture. The fifth thing I learned is that it's everything, like it all depends on you. So after my ACL injury, I could have because after my ACL injury, I could walk normally, I could run in straight lines, I could live a normal life, but I couldn't play football. So I had to make a choice: am I going to get the operation or not? And obviously, I chose to get the operation. And then obviously, it was 100% on me to get back fit, because a lot of people who have these bad injuries, ACLs, Achilles injuries, they don't get back into football because whatever reason their op didn't go well or their rehab failed, whatever reason. But it's 100% on your shoulders if you want to get back into football, if you want to get back into your sport after getting injured. Like, you have people who can help you, your parents, your brothers and sisters, your physio. Like, they can be there for you all the time. But at the end of the day, it's on you. And how bad do you want to get back playing football? How bad do you want to get that pro contract? Like, you can have all the help from the agent, from your brother, from your sister, but it all depends on how much you want it and how much you want to reach that goal. The last thing I learned is that patience and dedication, but especially patience, is massive. And especially with football, like, you train day in, day out, you do all these things, you eat well, you go to the gym, you sleep, you stretch every day, stuff like this. And you do this day in, day out just for the chance to make it somewhere, like make it to a pro, make it to a high league. And you have to stay patient. Like, there's going to be days where you don't want to train, you want to go out and have an unhealthy meal, or you don't want to go to the gym, or you don't want to sleep 10 hours a day, you want to stay up and play Xbox with your friends or whatever it may be. If you want to reach the top, you have to understand that it's not going to happen in a week. It's going to take years of training and doing all the things you have to do to reach the top. And you have to understand that, and you have to accept that it's not going to take a week, a month, even a year. It's going to take 5, 10 years for you to be able to perform and reach the highest level. And you have to know this. Like, especially going back to my ACL injury, at the start of the hardest period in my ACL rehab was the first month. The pain was bad, I was uncomfortable, I couldn't sleep, couldn't walk normally, couldn't get up to go for a pee, go for a toilet. Like, my mum, my brother were always bringing me food in my bed, like, it was awful. And that was the hardest time, but you have to stay patient, and you have to keep telling yourself that if you keep doing the rehab, if you keep doing your exercises 4 or 5 times a day, if you keep icing it, if you rest it enough, in a month you can walk properly, in 3 months you can run, in 5 months you can jump, and then in 9 to 10 months you can play again. So you just have to remain patient and keep on doing the right things. I want to make this video for people if they're going for a bad injury, or especially an ACL injury. Like, I know when I got injured first, I would go on Google and YouTube for hours just searching up ACL football injuries, ACL soccer injuries, ACL month 1, ACL. I would spend hours watching people, and then I would get scared that my knee wasn't as good as theirs after 2 months. And you can't really do that because everyone's body reacts differently, so you just have to stay patient. But yeah, I just want to make this video for anyone who's out there struggling with an injury, knowing that you just stick to your rehab, you stay patient, you stay dedicated. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to finish this video up here. Hope you guys enjoyed it, I hope it helped any of you, and yeah, see you guys in the next video.